All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So I want to talk about money today. What I wanted to ask you guys, and it's kind of hard if you guys can't be interactive, but do you guys believe in the law of attraction? Okay.
I do, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then do you guys believe that most people have some sort of money, like block around money, like money blocks, whether it's conscious or subconscious? Do you guys know what that is? Do you believe that to be true?
I do, and I 100% do. I guess I'm more interactive than I thought.
Good. I love it. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about today is that, the subject of money, a lot of people don't like to talk about it. They kind of shy away from the questions of, how much money do you make? That's considered like private or personal information, or how much debt do you have? A lot of times there's embarrassment or shame around that question. Obviously not for everybody, but so I just wanted to give the definition. You guys are already aware of this, but I wanted to give the definition of a money block really quick. So a money block is a negative, usually subconscious belief or fear about money that can prevent someone from achieving their financial goals. This can affect anyone, regardless of their financial upbringing, and can be hidden stories that sabotage in sneaky ways. And so I think, you've heard of like the people who win the lottery, win millions of dollars in the lottery, and then end up going broke a couple years later. And
Yes.
so you can always hire someone to manage your money, but at the end of the day, you have to have the correct mindset around it, um, or else it's not, it's not going to stay with you. And so, um, money is also like one of the top reasons for divorce. People fight about money. I grew up from a household where my parents fought about money quite a bit, and ultimately they divorced. And so some of the common money blocks that people have is like fear, or a scarcity mindset. They believe that there's not enough to go around, which can lead someone to hoard their money or opportunities, or be afraid to invest in themselves or in their business. I kind of fall into that scarcity mindset a little bit. Some people have guilt. They feel guilty around their money, or not deserving. They believe that they don't deserve to be wealthy. And so if you believe you don't deserve to be wealthy, the universe is going to make sure that you don't become wealthy. Or if you do become wealthy, such as a lottery winner, that wealth is going to go away pretty quickly, right? Some people worry about others' opinions. If, maybe people won't like you if you have money, or that your partner, parents, or friends will freak out if you earn more money than they do. Some people, have tendencies to overspend money, or spend their money in a certain way, or they don't spend their money, but they wait too long to save and invest, and then they don't end up having a retirement, or just self beliefs like, I don't believe I can manage money, or I'm not good at business, or I'm not meant to be rich. Do any of those things speak to any of you?
Personally, for me, it's like I have student loans still, so that's kind of like been a kicker for me because no one handed me a bill when I was 18 and said, "Here, pay this." So it kind of just accumulated interest while I was in college. So that's like part of the shame that I feel. I'm like, I should have paid this off, and yeah.
Yeah, and should is definitely a word that can go hand in hand with shame, right? I should have done better. But I had texted my daughter just yesterday about something that I had did. I didn't know that I could hire a someone that handles estate sales to come in and handle when my mom sold her house. And I told her, I wish I would have done this. And her response was, well, you did what you knew to do at the time. Like, you didn't have this knowledge. And so, you can't beat yourself up for something that you didn't know when you were 18, right? So at the end of the day, money is literally just a piece of paper, right? It only holds the value that we give it. And that value is different for everyone. And it can be dependent on the situation, right? So if I go to the grocery store and I buy a case of water, I might pay $6 for that. And that's going to be about 25 cents for a bottle of water, right? Pretty good price. If I go down to the corner store or the gas station and I buy a bottle of water there, the same exact bottle, I might pay $2 for that bottle. Okay. If I was at the grocery store and they were charging me $2 a bottle, I'd be mad because I'm expecting $6 for a case. But at the corner store, I'm like, okay, great, $2, I'll buy it. But if I go to a concert or an event, that same bottle of water might be $4, right? Imagine paying $4 a bottle of water at the grocery store. You'd be really mad, right? And so the value of the money, like I said, can be dependent on the situation. And so when we take that back to real estate and we think about like a for sale by owner, right? So a buyer is only willing to pay based on the situation. If it's a for sale by owner, they know that there's not a real estate commission being paid. And so they're more likely going to offer less money, which is one of the reasons why for sale by owners typically don't make as much money as if they hire a real estate agent. Kind of like when you buy a car. If you see a car that's sitting in the parking lot on the corner, there's an expectation that you're going to pay less money for that car versus if you bought it at the dealership, right? And people are willing to, pay different prices for the same exact car, depending on the situation and when they buy it. Same with the house and whatnot. So many, and that also goes to what's, coming up that we've been talking a lot in real estate about, whether sellers are going to be offering to pay buyer's commission, right? Buyer agent commissions. And as a buyer, you're not going to pay that top dollar to the seller if you know that they're not paying your agent's commission. And so that's going to affect the price of homes, price of a particular home as well. Okay. So many of our beliefs about money, where do you guys think that, let me see. I see Matt joined us. Hi, Matt. So we're talking about money today, and I'm trying to make it interactive. So feel free to unmute yourself and chime in if you can. So where do you think that a lot of our beliefs about money come from?
It could be family or like what we've been exposed to in our life experiences.
Yeah, definitely. Like a lot of things, many of our beliefs around money come from our parents, not only what they physically teach us about money, but also what they show us about money, right? And, that expression, more is caught than taught. And so they're, as kids, we're always, even on a subconscious level, watching and learning, right? And so that's really interesting as a parent. And I didn't think of it too much when my kids were little, but as a grandparent, I'm seeing it more and more. What am I teaching my kids or my grandbabies about money just by what they see me doing? And it's funny because I was talking to my daughter this morning, and we were actually having a conversation about money. They want to remodel their bathroom. And we were talking about it. And she's like, but I have issues around money and I don't like to spend it. And I laughed and I was like, well, that's what we're going to be talking about in this class that I'm preparing for today. But it's true, right? And sometimes we adopt the same views that our parents have, and sometimes we go the opposite. And so for me, my kids pretty much have adopted my same views while I adopted the opposite views of what my parents taught me, right? And so what my parents taught me is that money is something to fight about, because they fought about money a lot. My mom liked to spend money. My dad was self-employed, and I think his income probably was better at some times and not as good at other times, and that might affected the conversations that they had about money. But one of the things that I also was shown or taught is that even if you don't have money, you can still spend it via credit cards or student loans or whatever the case might be, right? Now, fortunately, I took the opposite view of that from what my parents do. And so I don't have, a bunch of credit card debt or anything like that. My parents did. And so one of the things that I have, when we're talking about those limiting beliefs is I, at least in the past and probably still today, have a poor person's mindset. I don't want to be poor, but in my mind, it's easy for me, or even verbally, it's easy for me to say, well, I don't have enough money for that. And the truth is, I do have enough money for it. I just don't want to spend it that way. Money is like a security blanket to me, right? And if I have it, I feel secure. I think a lot of women in particular feel that way. Not all of us, that's a generalization. But I like to hold it tight. And when I hold it tight, that means I'm not investing it, whether I'm investing it in experiences or I'm investing it in like retirement or rentals or whatever the case might be. The other thing that I don't do with money is I don't celebrate it. So like if I get a commission check, instead of being happy and celebrating it, I'm like, okay, I don't know when my next commission check's coming, so I'm going to put it in the bank and I'm going to save it, right? I'm holding it. It makes me feel secure to do that. Do any of you guys want to share a little bit about your mindset around money? Can you guys relate to kind of how I feel, or you guys feel the opposite of that?
Um,
I'm with
I,
you.
yeah, pretty much same thing too. My dad had cancer, so a lot of the times before he passed away, he had the mindset like I can't take it with me. So he wanted to do like the lavish vacations or spending it or gambling, whatever, just to enjoy like time. And looking back, it's like, yeah, I appreciate the time that we had and the memories. But at the same time, I can see the way it left my mom in the position with, certain debts and this and that. So it's a give and take. Like tomorrow's not promised, but then you also want to be smart with it.
Definitely. I had another family member kind of in the same situation. The husband knew that he didn't have too much long to live. He was in a spending, enjoying life mindset. And then the wife was caught with the bills afterwards and struggled financially because, I don't want to say because of it as if it was his fault, but that was just the situation. Were you going to add anything, Matt?
No, I'm kind of on the same page as you. I like to save my money and build, grow wealth with my money. I like my money to make money for me. My wife, on the other hand, she thinks money's a tool just to, she doesn't like to really save it. She uses it to get what she needs and wants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's an interesting dynamic when you have husband and wife and shared financial, shared bank accounts and different habits around it, right?
Yeah.
Which again is why money is one of the top reasons why, couples get divorced sometimes. So one of the things about money is, and the reason that we're talking about this today is because our beliefs around money, or our words that we use around money, which our words come from our beliefs, affect how we're able to attract money into our lives, right? As real estate agents, we all have different goals, and at the same time, we all want to make money, right? And some of us may want to make just enough to pay our bills and survive. Some of us want to become rich being real estate agents. Either one's okay, but our beliefs around money is going to affect our results, right? And so when we're talking about money, the words that we use are very powerful. Just like when we're talking about, our next transaction. That affects our words and our money. So when you guys think about, okay, my next transaction, like what comes to your mind?
For me, I'd just be happy if I could get through my first transaction.
Right? And you're in transaction right now, right?
No,
Or no,
I
no.
don't have anybody. I'm just trying to get buyers or something. But yeah,
Yes.
still learning, so I'll just be happy if I could go through one so far.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and so I totally get that. And I would challenge you, instead of focusing on just the next one or the first one, you want to at least have that mindset of, okay, I'm going to be happy when I get my first one, which is going to be one of many, and so just kind of encompass that mindset of it's not just the one.
Yeah, no, I have a little goal. Like I want to eventually get to like at least, well, since we're halfway through the year, I'd be happy if I get like maybe 3 or 4 for this year.
Uh-huh.
And then obviously next year, double, triple that. Like try to shoot for one a month at least, or if more. But
Yeah.
yeah, right now I'm just dipping my toes in, trying to get comfortable in this new career.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, cool. Well, our brains are wired to keep us safe, right? Our brains want to keep us safe. So when we say, oh, on those days when we get frustrated, right? And we don't know where that next transaction is or where our first transaction is, and we're like, I'm never going to make any money in real estate. What does your brain do? Your brain, who wants to protect you, says, okay, you don't want to make money in real estate, so let me help you not make money in real estate. Right? That's not what we want, but that's what our brain is doing to protect us. Or, oh my God, I hate making phone calls and talking to people about real estate. Okay. What's our brain going to do? Our brain is going to make us sick so we can't make those calls, or it's going to put distractions in our path so that we don't have to make our calls because our brain is hearing that we don't want to make those calls. So when we change our language around it, it's not like it's the magic pill, but we change our language around it. So instead of saying, I'm never going to make any money in real estate, what could we say instead?
That we're gonna be successful in real estate.
Yeah, I'm going to make a lot of money in real estate. And part of the reason I know I'm going to make a lot of money in real estate is because I see this agent doing it and I see that agent doing it, right? Like there's proof all around us that you can make a lot of money in real estate, right? So that needs to be our mindset. Those need to be our words. I'm going to make a lot of money in real estate. What about I hate making phone calls or I hate doing lead generation? What could we say instead?
I need to get better at making phone calls and lead generating.
Yeah.
It's fun to make phone calls and lead generate.
It's
I get to
fun.
meet people.
Yeah, I get to meet people, right? So like if I'm gonna have a conversation with somebody, if I come from curiosity, right? I'm curious what this next person I talk to is gonna say about real estate, or what their needs are gonna be in regards to real estate, or I'm excited I get to talk about real estate today with new people, right? Because remember, at one time we were all doing something else, and then we had this idea of, I wonder if I should become a real estate agent, right? And then we set it as a goal, and we went through all of those boring classes. And then we had to study, right? And then we had to go take the test, and then we had to wait for our results to see if we passed the test, all that, right? So at one point, we were like really eager to get to the point that we're at now, right? And sometimes it's easy to be like, oh, this isn't what I thought I was going to be, or I just hate talking to people or whatever it is. But we have to remember that this was a goal that we accomplished. We got here. We get to make those phone calls because, a year ago we weren't allowed to do that, or whatever the time frame is. Okay, so some of the words that we want to use, right? Some of the words we don't want to use. So I want, right? Instead of I want, well, I guess it depends. I want to make my real estate calls. That is a good use of the word want, right? Let me see. Obviously, I can't versus I can. I'm trying to find my next real estate transaction, right? I'm trying. How about I'm doing or I am? I'm in the process of finding my next client, right? Instead of I'm trying to find them, I'm in the process of finding them. You see how just that little switch in words changes the whole energy around that sentence? I hope, the word, when you say I hope, that takes the power away from you, right? Because it's like you're hoping that something out here is going to happen that affects you positively, right? Instead, we could use like I choose, or I should, right? I should make my calls. Should is a word that again takes the power away from us. I could make my calls today. So it's a choice. Am I going to choose to make our calls? Or am I not going to make our calls? But it takes the, like that, like I should kind of has like this negative energy about it, right? Whereas I could is more freeing, or I choose to make my calls today is more freeing, right? Okay, so we want to focus on abundance. Money is meant to ebb and flow and move. And when we are cheap about spending it or weird about receiving it, we block its natural course and we put ourselves in lack. So we want to focus on abundance as much as possible. Now, when I say when we're weird about receiving it, can you guys give me like an example or what comes to your mind when I say that we could be weird about receiving money?
When it's a gift and you say no, thank you,
Yeah.
or feel like awkward about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or when you feel like you don't deserve it subconsciously.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's kind of like when somebody gives you a compliment, oh, I like your dress or I like your shoes. You know, do we just say thank you or do we say, oh, thank you, I got them on sale or whatever? Like we kind of try to take away from the compliment of what it is, right? And same with money. So what about when we're weird about receiving it? Do you guys see where that could tie into our commissions?
So
Go ahead.
no, I said absolutely can.
Yeah,
Because we
because
have a block.
yes. Yeah, tell me a little more about that.
Well, if you have a mental block with money that you don't deserve it or the money is hard to get, so then that directly correlates with how you received your commission, because that is the block. That is the mental block for you to receive your commission, and therefore you are not gonna work hard to make those calls, to do your lead generation, because all of this is tied to that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So if you don't feel like you deserve the money, you're going to do things that prove you right, right? But even when we're talking with the seller and we're negotiating our commission, right? If we don't believe and we have like weird, blocks around money, we're weird about receiving it, are we going to ask for the commission that we're worth, or are we going to cut our commission because we have weird feelings about receiving money? Right? So you can see where that might not affect everybody, but it definitely could affect some people. All right, so we want to focus on abundance as much as possible. So I'm going to ask you guys this question. What can you do? So this answer will be possibly different for everybody, but what can I do right now that would take me a giant step forward or closer to my goal of getting rich?
Have more clients.
Have more clients?
Yeah.
What I could do is, if I have, which we all have in a way or another, a mental block regarding money, I will do affirmations. I will reprogram my belief, my subconscious mind, so that naturally I do the things that I want, that I need to do in order for me to receive that money.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Affirmations are great. Matt, let me go back to your answer. Okay, so what
Okay.
can I do right now that would take me a giant step forward or closer to my goal of getting rich? You can have more clients. How do you get more clients?
By doing everything to get your leads,
Okay,
door knocking, phone calls.
okay,
Talk to more people.
yep. The more people we talk to, no matter what the method is, so door knocking, phone calls, etc., the more chance we have of finding that person that wants to buy or sell, right?
Yeah.
I heard something the other day, and it said that only 2% of the population will move this year, will, buy or sell or invest in real estate. So it can be very frustrating when we're talking to people and they have no interest in moving, right? But you
Yeah.
figure if only 2% of the people are going to have an interest, then we've got to talk to 98, if we talk to 100 people, 98 of them are going to be no's. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys get frustrated when you're talking to, when you're making a bunch of phone calls or door knocking and it's no after no after no after no? Does that get frustrating?
Yes.
For
It
me,
does,
if
right?
it's discouraging, but I always just tell myself, just keep knocking on the next one. One more, one more.
One more, right?
This is one time that my mindset is good. I actually don't, because if I actually talk to someone, I'm happy.
Good.
That's half the time I can't get a hold of someone.
And that's true, right? That's true. People just don't answer their phone or respond to text anymore. Yeah. So having that positive mindset of, okay, I got to talk to 98 people before I'm going to get, or break that down. I got to talk to 50 people or 49 people before I get one person who's going to have some sort of interest in doing real estate this year, right? And the faster you can get a no, the faster you can go on to the next person, right? So when somebody tells you no, we should be thanking them, right? Okay, thank you for letting me know you're not interested. Now let me go ask the next person, right? And so when we're doing, we track our conversations and we track our, number of leads that we get each week and whatnot. Like when we have goals and we want to close, 12 transactions this year or 24 transactions or whatever, your number is. For me, the number's 18. My goal is to close 18 transactions this year. Am I going to meet that goal if I'm having 5 or 10 conversations a week? Knowing that if I talk to 50 people, I'm only going to get one lead out of that. And one lead doesn't even mean that they'll do business with me. It just means it's a lead, right?
True. You'd have to go to command and put your goals in there and figure out how many people you need to talk to a week.
Yeah, that can be overwhelming, right?
So
Yeah,
the big numbers.
big numbers. But there's big success behind those big numbers, right? I mean, think about like a rainmaker in your office, somebody who's like super successful, closing, at least one transaction a week or whatever the case might be. They're making a lot of money, and that's possible for us too. But just like it all ties into like our words and our thoughts and our beliefs, because if we take that no and we let that frustrate us and we're like, man, I talked to 10 people this week and they all said no, I'm never going to find a client, real estate sucks, we're not going to be successful, right? Versus, I got to meet 10 people today, or this week I talked to 10 people and they're not going to do anything yet, but I got their information because they might do something in the future and I'm going to stay in touch with them, right? I'm going to be there when they're ready. And now I get to go find 10 more people to see if they have a need. And we can increase our chances. So if we talk to 10 people and they're all no's, how do we increase our chances of them being a yes? Or not even them, but just of getting a transaction from somebody that says no?
Following up and asking if they know anybody who would be interested in buying or selling, or you know the people that they know, and then just grow your contacts.
Exactly, exactly. And just developing a relationship with them, right? Even if it's just on social media, and paying attention to things like, are they, are they getting married? Because if they're getting married, they might want to buy a new house. Are they having a baby? Maybe they need a
That's
bigger
fortunate.
house. Yeah. Is their kid graduating? We just had a ton of graduations, right?
Mhm.
Are they now empty nesters and they need to downsize? And so in those moments, instead of just being on Facebook and, someone posts, oh, hey, congratulations, my daughter just graduated, instead of just saying congratulations on Facebook, what if we picked up the phone and we said, hey, I just saw your daughter graduated, congratulations. And then you go into a conversation that leads to real estate and see if they're planning to downsize anytime soon.
I just
Or,
did something similar to that recently. So
yeah,
I have a friend on social media who posted her husband just went into the Navy, and I know they have a house out here. So I was like, hey, just letting you know I do real estate. If you guys want to move, I can connect you to an agent in another state. And I can sell this house, or list it if you want to keep it for a rental. And yeah.
I love that. I love that. See, and that's where can be proactive, and pay attention to the little clues that the universe gives us in regards to who's doing business. Right? All right, cool. So knowing that 50 conversations might lead to one lead just based off of that statistic I heard the other day. How are you guys, like, how are you guys doing with that? Are you guys having anywhere close to 50 conversations a week?
For me, it's hit or miss. It's my own fault. I know I'm not as consistent as I need to be. There's some that weeks that I have 50 plus conversations, and then there's some where I just let life get in the way and I don't have as many conversations. So for me, I'm struggling with the consistency. I need to be more consistent and, put this first.
And that was going to be my question, is on the weeks that you don't do the 50 conversations, what's different on those weeks versus the weeks that you do?
A lot of unexpected things come up, or events that I get invited to that are um, not necessarily where I can meet new people and talk to them about real estate, but people I've already talked to. Yeah, just different scenarios, or um, just having a bad week or a bad day where I don't want to talk to anybody.
Leave me alone, everybody.
Sometimes.
And so I would challenge that even those events, even if it's an event that, it's like your family, for example, or just people that you are in contact with often, it doesn't hurt to just say, hey, don't forget I'm in real estate if you ever hear anybody that needs any help. And it could be just as simple as that one little sentence, right? And that's lead generation. Like, that's follow up. You're following up with your SOI. Because you never know who my broker shares a story. He went to Bold. I don't know if you guys know what Bold is, but it's a 8-week training. And he was in there, and in there they have you make phone calls. And so he called his wife, and he asked her, hey, who do you know that wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Right now, this is his wife. He lives with her. He sleeps next to her, like all the things, right? And she's like, oh, you know what? So and so mentioned that they were wanting to buy a house. And he's like, what? He's like, why are you just now telling me this? Like, you knew somebody that, what, like, this is how I make my living, right? And you would think that you wouldn't have to ask your spouse if they're aware of anyone that wants to buy or sell, right? But like you said, Rochelle, we get busy in life, and like, yeah, maybe we heard somebody talking about it at noon, and by the time we get home at 7 o'clock at night, we're not remembering to tell, so if we're not asking, we might be missing opportunities, even when we think there's no chance in the world that they're going to be buying, selling, or know anybody, right? It's if
Yeah.
they knew anybody, they would tell me already.
Jokingly, I do tell my husband every day, I'm like, do you know anyone who wants to buy or sell? Did you meet any new people?
Yeah.
My husband just totally dropped the ball on that. He texted me a link to a random house yesterday or 2 days ago, and it was a Texas house. And I'm like, what, is Texas back on your radar? Just kidding. Who's moving? And I was like joking, but serious. He's like, oh, my coworker just bought a house in Texas. And I'm like, seriously,
Hello,
you just texted me
referral.
the Zillow link of what they bought? Why didn't you tell me? And then he told his coworker, and he's like, sorry, next time. But that was proof of what you just said. I'm like, okay. Ask the husband too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's that too. Like, not even just ask the husband or ask, whoever, if they know of anybody, but can they be proactive on your behalf? Like, if we got to talk to 50 people a week, whatever the number is, I'm just randomly using that number. How many people can our spouse talk to each week about real estate to see if they know anybody, right? Because there's nothing stopping them from helping us lead generate, especially if it's shared goals, right?
Yep.
Yeah. The other day I was in my husband's truck and I found a card from a real estate agent. I'm like, what the heck? Like, why do you have another real estate agent's card in your truck? He had another agent's pen one time too. Like, I feel betrayed. I feel like you're stepping out on me. Okay.
I'm collecting all those things because the other day I got a notepad that was a realtor's advertisement that got dropped off at my front door. So I'm like, I have like a collection of different ideas that I'm just keeping that people drop off at my house.
Oh yeah. I mean, the notepad's fine. You can still use it. Just
Yeah.
don't hand it out to people.
Oh no, that's for my purposes only.
Right? Cross their name off, write yours, and then hand that out. Okay, so let me see. So what value do we provide to our clients in return for the commission that we make?
Knowledge, and ease of the transaction so they don't have to deal with all the paperwork part. We advise them, I guess, better so they don't have to figure it out on their own.
Yep. Anything else? So do you think that the value that we provide to our clients justifies the commission that we make?
Yeah.
You have to believe that, because if you don't believe that, then you're not going to command the commission that you deserve, right? If I don't believe that I am worth X percent, then I'm not going to ask for X percent, right? And then I might be upset when the transaction goes bad and I'm only making Y percent because I didn't ask for X, because I didn't think I deserved X, right? What else were you going to say, Matt?
Oh, it's definitely, especially with all the steps and everything involved. Not before I got into real estate, I had no idea how much effort it takes.
Yeah. And the general public does not understand that. I'm doing a transaction right now and it's new construction. And new construction is typically one of the easiest transactions we'll do because we don't even do the paperwork on that, right? And this one, I have been so involved with like the lenders and the buyer, and is definitely not your typical, new construction transaction. But like I have two clients. So one of them, her parents passed away. She was living with them, taking care of them, and they passed away. And she has her own house, right? But she left that to come to another city to take care of her parents. And she knew that she needed to sell the house, but she just wanted to go back home. Like she just wanted to be done. She didn't want to deal with it. She just wanted to go back home. And so as an agent, especially one who's willing to go that extra mile for my clients, like I have provided a tremendous amount of value to her, making things simple. I mean, I've done things such as, they had a big trash bin and I've called the utility company to have them come and pick up the trash can. Now, it's not something that we normally do in a typical transaction, but because she's in a different area, you know, I've stepped in and helped her, and I know that I'm worth every penny that I'm getting in that transaction, right? I had another client, her mom just passed away this week. In fact, the services are today. And 3 years ago, I helped her mom sell her house so that she could move across the country to be with her daughter. And so I know that, you know, sometimes the value goes beyond even just like what we do in the transaction, right? Because these are people's lives that we get to step in and help, you know, help them navigate a lot of times things that they don't know how to deal with or don't want to deal with, right? Okay. So my question is, there are opportunities to do real estate all around us. And all you have to do is look in your MLS every day and you'll see that there are new listings. And every new listing is an opportunity that another agent got instead of you, right? So are you purposefully on the lookout for new opportunities? We want to make sure that even on the days when we don't feel like it, that we are, you know, that we're being aware, kind of like what I mentioned a little while ago with Facebook. Like there's so many opportunities on there if we're on the lookout for them.
Facebook's actually where my last listing, the one that just went live today, came from.
Awesome. I have 2 listings right now. No, one's a listing and one's a buyer. Both came from Facebook.
Is that
So-
like Facebook ads, or is it just reaching out to groups on Facebook?
For me, it was a referral from a group that I was in. I have
For
done
me-
transactions
Oh, sorry.
because of ads, though. Go ahead, Kat.
Sorry, I'm not like watching the videos. I'm missing the cues. For me, it was a really weird one, actually. I don't know what post I commented on, but I commented on some post, and my client ended up reaching out to me via email. So that means she found me on the internet to get my email and said, I saw your comment on a Facebook post. We're in the midst of a divorce and I need to talk about listing my house. And our entire conversation was via email until the appointment. So you never know who's watching you, even if you don't see a response.
True. Yeah. I joined a lot of Facebook community groups and stuff, so I'm starting to post on there and comment on people thing, meet other people that are local. So that's what I was curious how you guys got those leads.
Yeah. Mom groups seem to be pretty active too. I don't know if you have kids or not, but if you can join a mom group, that's
I could join a dog mom group.
yeah. Or you could start a dog mom group,
True.
right? Yeah. So lots of opportunities you know, in social media and groups and whatnot. Okay. So let me see here. So I think that's pretty much all that I wanted to cover today. There's a couple of other things, but I don't really have time to get into them. So and we only have, you know, 9 minutes left, but do you guys have any last like wrap up thoughts or questions about anything we discussed today?
No, I think I'm okay.
Okay. Okay, cool. Anything else that you guys have questions about other than what we talked about today?
No.
Just for fun, what is everyone's lead gen strategy?
Well, this weekend I have an open house, so that's going to be my focus.
And you said you're going to door knock around it, right?
Yes. my husband's printing flyers from his work. So he gave me a sample yesterday. He's like, "Is this okay for you? Because I ordered you better paper." And and I was like, "It's fine. Like I just need them so I can go door knock." But yeah, so I posted it on my like social medias, and then I'm gonna go door knock tomorrow around the neighborhood. I do probably need to. Is there special rules? Do you guys know for like because the house is in an HOA? Do I need to call them and ask like any if there's any specific rules on open house signs?
Yeah, you
Ooh.
can. You can either be proactive, call them and ask them, which is what we would recommend, or you can do what you do and see who complains afterwards or during.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be best to be proactive. Even like door knocking, like if you're going to leave the flyers, specifically HOAs, but just cities in general sometimes have rules. So like one of the cities in my area, we are allowed to leave flyers. Another one we're not allowed to. People still do, but but we're not supposed to. So
I didn't
you
know
know,
that.
yeah. So it just depends on, on what the local rules are for that. So all
Okay.
right, cool. What are you doing, Matt, for lead gen right now?
Door knocking's working best for me. I was wondering if I could put a sign out for if you're going to open houses, call me, I'll be your agent.
So where would you put that sign at?
Right next to all the open house signs.
I would say don't do that because it's going to create, bad mojo between you and the other agents, but also because if somebody's there and they're seeing the sign and they're like, the open house is around the corner, like they're not going to call you, wait for you to go meet them. They're just going to go, right? But if you wanted to do something like that on social media, ahead of the time, I would say that would be okay. But that is creative thinking. So I do like creativity. We just don't want to make enemies because that agent that you piss off today might be the agent that's responsible for accepting your client's offer on the next house, right? So we have to play nice. How about you, Kat? What are you doing?
So this actually might be helpful for you guys doing open houses too. I am calling around open houses. So I have agents that I partner up with that are doing their open house, and I basically just call the neighbors roughly around and say, "Hey, just inviting you to the neighbor's open house. It's at this street and this time, these days. Would love to see you there. I know it sounds silly I'm calling you and you live down the street. I don't expect you to move down the street, but I'm hoping that you have a friend or family member you'd like to bring with you to move down the street." And then that kind of starts the conversation. Sometimes they say, "I'm not selling today." Sometimes they say, "Well, actually, I'm thinking about moving."
Yeah, that's great advice. The more ways that we can reach people, the better it is. So even if we do go door knock, it's still a good idea to call as well because you'll, hit and miss on different people. How about you, Janet or Jennifer? What are you
How
guys
are
doing?
you getting?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
I was wondering how she's getting the phone numbers for all the neighbors.
Title. They're not always reliable, but it's better than nothing.
They'll just give you a neighborhood list.
Is that like the farming list?
Maybe you call your title rep or email your title rep and say, "Hey, I need roughly 150, 200, or however many you think you can call. Maybe it's even 50 call numbers around this address."
And are they charging you for that, Kat?
This one doesn't, but that's just something I have set up. It's not guaranteed. Sometimes it's 7 cents a number. Sometimes it's free. It depends on your title rep.
Yeah. And the PC program is working on something where there'll be a fee for it, and we don't have it completely figured out yet, but where you'll have access to phone numbers. I think like 1,000 or 2,000 phone numbers a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that should happen hopefully in July, but don't hold me to that.
Eventually, something like that would be better because you can have more reliable phone numbers, and I want to eventually pay for it. In this case, I'm kind of in that, what can I do for free stage? Oh my God.
Yeah, and we do recommend that you always lead with revenue. And so, we don't want you investing in, like buying leads and all of that until you're making money. because it can get very expensive, doing that kind of stuff. So. Okay, well, with that, I'll go ahead and end our meeting today, but thank you guys for joining. Thank you for participating. I hate it when it's just me talking, so I do appreciate that you guys shared your voices and your thoughts. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day and rest of your week, and go talk to some people and go find some business.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.